Hello, dear friends. This forecast is yet another sign of the so-called systemic collapse of the old global financial system that they recently reported on. Opinion piece. Bill Gates foresees a major crisis, says it would be inevitable. He doesn't dare to give the date of the crash. He also accelerates the sale of his shares. He is preparing for a major economic crisis. Warren Buffett is his great financial friend. Divorce makes Melinda Gates a billionaire. The coalition intervened in the Madrid elections. Complaints abound against doctors and police officers. End of curfew in Madrid and free meetings. Spain sends 20 tons of medical supplies to India. European Union has suspended its trade agreement with China. Chinese rocket is expected to fall this weekend. China says most of it will burn up in the fall. No plan to shoot down Chinese rocket wreckage. China to build the Pacific airstrip. Stock market rises, dollar plummets and bonds fluctuates. Only 14 people control the internet worldwide. Gold has its best week since October thanks to the crisis. Gold surpasses $1,800, its highest level in 3 months. Banks, military and politicians, the three pillars of the armed businesses. Let's start. Tycoon Bill Gates has accelerated the sale of his shares and predicts that there will be a great world economic crisis similar to that of 2008, after having suffered a marital crisis. The tycoon assures that he is preparing for a great world economic instability, although he doesn't dare to give the exact date of this supposed financial collapse. But the Unknown World channel put us a deadline. Mundo Desconocido is the name of the Spanish channel. Put us deadline this May 26th. During the presentation of his book on climate change, he specified that this bankruptcy of the old financial system could be something inevitable, as reported in several media. Bill Gates surprises again, giving a total turn to his investments, something that has caught by surprise many shareholders who do not understand these new movements of the tycoon. The Microsoft founder has decided to divest himself of Alibaba and Uber shares. So, in this way, this holding have disappeared from the portfolio of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. In addition, the billionaire has also sold 50% of the stakes in the technology companies Apple, Amazon and Alphabet, which have been falling on the stock exchange this past week. There are also significant declines in popular companies such as Tesla, Spotify, Zoom, Baidu, Teladoc or Shopify, among others. This backing for technology companies would be motivated by the commitment to the commandments of the 2030 Agenda, agreed at the World Economic Forum and embodied in the Davos Agenda. Governments and multinationals have drawn up a roadmap for the next 10 years to force changes in the market, thus promoting a new social corporatism that undermines the principle of market freedom. The largest holding in the Gates Foundation portfolio is Berkshire Hathaway, the holding company of his close friend Warren Buffett, with a portfolio weighting of nearly 44%. The second largest asset is waste management, one of the largest recycling multinationals in the US. Melinda Gates becomes billionaire in divorce. Bill Gates transferred nearly $2.4 billion in stock to Melinda Gates. Stakes in a Coca-Cola bottling company, a Mexican broadcaster, and other companies were transferred, as two of the world's richest people began dividing their wealth after filing for divorce. Madrid. The coalition intervened in the Madrid polls to prevent them from cheating. Antonio López, president of the AECLI, revealed yesterday. Thursday, on Canal 5 TV, he also revealed that the end of the state of alarm in Spain is due to a touch of the alliance to the president of the government, who transferred the responsibility of the restrictions to the autonomous communities, but the judiciary is supposed to extend the closures and confinements. But the most important intervention was that of the people of Madrid themselves, who, more than voting for a political party, voted for the freedom to go out on the streets to have a coffee or a beer, and for the freedom to be able to earn a living, each one with his business, instead of closing companies and constantly losing jobs. Freedom. That was undoubtedly been the most repeated word in the community of Madrid during the last few weeks. With this concept, the president of the region and re-elected PP candidate for the May 4th elections, Isabel Díaz Ayuso, raised the feeling of rebellion to the rules imposed from outside that deeply penetrated Madrid society, and in fact gave her votes to the point of almost an absolute majority, breaking participation records and with a victory in all the districts of the capital, including the traditional fiefdoms of the left. The elections to the Assembly of Madrid are the autonomic elections in which the citizens of the Community of Madrid elect the members of the Assembly of Madrid. They are usually held on the fourth Sunday of May, every 4 years. Although this year an exception has been made. The Assembly of Madrid will be made up of 136 deputies from 2021. The last elections to the Assembly of Madrid were held last Tuesday, May 4th, 2021. End of the state of alarm. Madrid lifts the curfew and extends the opening hours in hotels and restaurants until midnight. The Community of Madrid will not impose a curfew and will extend the opening hour of hotels and restaurants until midnight, while recommending that meeting in homes be limited to cohabitants. Once the state of alarm decreed by the government will end next Sunday. No new customers will be admitted from 11 o'clock at night, and the prohibition of consumption at the bar will be maintained, and the limitation of dinners indoors and on terraces. The end of the state of alarm this Sunday leads to a conflict over the restriction of fundamental rights, as it leaves the management of the measures in the hands of the courts and the autonomous communities. Only 4 autonomous communities will maintain the curfew for Sunday: the Balearic Islands, the Canary Islands, Navarre, and the Valencian community. The perimeter closure is lifted in all but the Balearic Islands, and most regions extend the closure of the hotel and catering business. This means that almost 20% of the population will continue with this limitation of nighttime mobility. Spain's regions at odds over curfew continuation. The Basque country's top court ruled Friday that the region must halt his current curfew, while a court in Valencia approved the continuation of the measure, in a sign of the turmoil that could drag on when Spain ends its national state of emergency this week. Complaints. In addition, AECLI, which is the Spanish Association Against Injustice, is processing several complaints of class action lawsuits from self-employed workers and other people affected by the closures and restrictions throughout Salinero Abogados. There are also complaints against police officers for alleged prevarication and against doctors for alleged professional malpractice. According to AECLI, we need, in quotes, we need each one of us to help as individuals to change this Spain so battered, full of damages, harm, abuses, corruption, and in general injustices, without any legal justification. We have to smile again and see light in our future, and we will denounce among all so much barbarism, wickedness, and few scruples of these characters who are in power, and at all levels. Let us join efforts and fight for the welfare of ours, for the common good and for ourselves. Close quotes. Spain. The IBEX advances 2.8% in the week and closes above 9,000 points for the first time in 40 months. The IBEX 35 closed the week and the session in the green, up 2.76% compared to last Friday and 0.86% compared to yesterday's close, maintaining the 9,000 point mark. The socio-economic level of each neighborhood is key in the evolution of psychosis. Science has already shown that the socio-economic level of each neighborhood is decisive in the general health of people, but a group of Spanish researchers has now proven that the zip code is also a determinant in mental health and in the evolution of diseases such as psychosis. Spain is finalizing the withdrawal of all of its last military personnel in Afghanistan. The departure of the contingent of just 24 members is scheduled for May 13th and will be synchronized with that of the US Army. The Spanish presence of 19 years duration and framed first in the ISAF operation and then in the Resolute Support Mission has cost 3,500 million euros and the lives of 100 soldiers fallen in action. May they rest in peace. Banks, military and politicians, the three pillars of the arms businesses. Spanish banks financed with $8,686 million and the arms companies supplying the war in Yemen. To this impunity to sell arms with the authorization of the government is added the signing of some 30 high-ranking officials of the army and the Ministry of Defense as directors of the main arms companies. Spain sends 20 tons of sanitary material to India. The general director of the Vicente Ferrer Foundation, Asensio Rodriguez, and the founder of Open Arms, Oscar Camps, have pointed out that the response of the citizens has been impeccable and they have obtained 20 tons of grains of sand in the form of sanitary material to send to India. South America. Bolivia and Chile agree on a roadmap to recompense their relations. The governments of Bolivia and Chile agreed on a roadmap to recompose the relations between both countries, leaving in abeyance the Bolivian claim for sovereign access to the sea, according to the announcement of the Chancellor, Rogelio Maita. Colombian police fire projectiles at protesters. The America's executive director of the human rights organization Human Rights Watch, José Miguel Vivanco, released a video on Wednesday in which police officers can be seen firing multiple projectiles from a tank at protesters in Colombia. Since April 28th, violent protests have been going on in Colombia following the tax reform that the Colombian government wants to carry out. It would mean a tax increase after the GDP fell to almost 7%. Why has Colombia exploded? Colombia revives the demonstrations that began in 2019 in a context of social discontent. At that time, they were protesting for the reduction of the minimum wage for young people and the reform of pension plans. Now, it has been the tax reform proposed by the President of Colombia, Iván Duque, which seeks to address the expenses caused by the health crisis at the cost of raising taxes on ordinary citizens. 75% of the revenue would come from individuals and the rest from companies. This was the trigger for Colombians to take the streets in a national strike called on April 28th. The measure proposed by Duque has been received as a blow to the whole Colombian society, and especially to the working class, already hard hit by the health crisis. Among other measures, the executive proposed the application of VAT, which is 90%, to basic products such as electricity, water or gas. This initiative was expected to raise more than 23 billion pesos, about 5 billion euros. All this is one of the most unequal countries in South America, according to the World Bank, with a minimum wage of 195.86 euros. Barcelona shows solidarity with the protests. Hundreds of people took the streets of Barcelona to show their solidarity with the Colombians, who are protesting against the government and are being harshly repressed by the police. China. Pentagon chief says no plan to shoot down Chinese rocket wreckage. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said Thursday there is no plan at this time to shoot down the wreckage of a large Chinese rocket that is expected to re-enter the atmosphere this weekend. The Long March 5B rocket lifted off from China's Hainan Island on April 29th, carrying the Tianhe module, which contains what will be housing for 3 crew members on a Chinese space station. The Tianhe launch was the first of 11 missions needed to complete the station. Speaking to reporters, Austin said the rocket was expected to land in the ocean. At the latest estimate was that it would do so between Saturday and Sunday. China says most of the rocket will burn up in the atmosphere. China says it is highly unlikely that debris from the out-of-control rocket will cause damage on its return to Earth, and said it will disintegrate during its re-entry into the atmosphere. Most of the rocket's debris will disintegrate and be destroyed during its re-entry into the atmosphere. All of this is in quotes. And it is highly unlikely that will cause any damage to Earth. The Foreign Ministry spokesman said, China plans to build a strategic airstrip in the Pacific, which would turn an island into a fixed aircraft carrier. It is a coral atoll strategically located halfway between Asia and America. China is advancing plans to remodel an airstrip and bridge of a coral atoll in the Kiribati archipelago from Canton. The Republic of Kiribati is an archipelago and island country located in the West Central Pacific Ocean, northeast of Australia. It consists of a group of 33 coral atolls and the volcanic island of Banaba, spread over an area of more than 3 million square kilometers. It achieved independence in 1979 and became a full member of the UN in 1999. Europe. The European Union suspends its commercial agreement with the Chinese regime. According to reports, the European Union has suspended the general investment agreement agreed with the Chinese Communist regime after a series of disagreements and political crises between authorities of European countries and high officials of the Chinese Communist Party, mainly due to controversial issues such as human rights and sanctions applied to Chinese and European officials, as reported by Andres Baca in Bless.com. European consumers will feel the impact of price increases this year as companies seek to recover revenues and cover costs related to the healthcare crisis. But the European Central Bank believes it can live with this inflation. Economy. Hiring slowdown. U.S. job growth unexpectedly. I repeat, U.S. job growth unexpectedly slowed in April, likely limited by shortages of workers and raw materials, as an economic recovery fueled by rapidly improving public health and massive government aid drove a boom in demand. Dollar plunges. Stocks rose after surprisingly weak jobs data allied fears of higher inflation and a cut in stimulus. The dollar fell to its lowest level since February, while treasuries fluctuated. S&P hits record high. The S&P 500 and Dow Jones Industrials hit record highs on Friday, while the tech-heavy Nasdaq index rose 1% after weak U.S. jobs data eased concerns that Federal Reserve will scale back its massive stimulus program in the near term. Central banks line up to scale back emergency stimulus. The Bank of England's decision on Thursday to slow the pace of buying makes it the second central bank in a G7 economy to begin the slow exit from money-printing stimulus schemes. Lithium producers turn optimistic as demand for electric vehicles rises. Rising demand for lithium is stoking prices for the metal for electric vehicle batteries. Precious metals. Gold ends higher. Gold prices rose on Wednesday, a day after the commodity closed lower due to comments from Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen that were seen as bearish for precious metals. And gold has its best week since October. Gold was hitting for its best week since October today, Friday, due to a surprisingly low U.S. payrolls number. Over the past month, coupled with the yellow metals late catch-up with inflationary trends, put it on track for a weekly gain of 3.5%. Price-wise, gold was nearing the highs last week, 12 weeks ago. I repeat, price-wise gold was nearing the highs last seen 12 weeks ago, approaching to the 1,850 per ounce level, which could set up a return to 1,900 and ultimately the all-time high of $2,000 reached in August. Gold back above 1,800. Gold finally regained its 1,800 an ounce position on Thursday after a 10-week gap, and for the first time since February due to falling bond yields and a slightly weaker dollar. Gold futures rose to their highest level in nearly 3 months on Friday. Cryptocurrencies. Ethereum is taking off. Ethereum is up more than 50% in the past week. In 2021, the West's second largest cryptocurrency is up more than 360%, and since the stock market bottomed at the end of last March, Ethereum is up a staggering 2,200%. Ether shows to new record. Ether, the world's second largest cryptocurrency after Bitcoin, extended a separatist rally on Thursday to a new record high of 3,616.10, gaining momentum as investors shift attention away from its chief rival. Coinbase plunges to record low. Coinbase Global Inc. sank to an all-time low as investors fled newcomers to the high-flying market. The operator of the largest cryptocurrency exchange fell 6% to $256.76 on Thursday, plunging for a fourth straight day. Excuse me. And Goldman offers new Bitcoin derivatives to Wall Street investors. Goldman Sachs Group Inc. is moving deeper into the trillion-dollar Bitcoin market, offering Wall Street investors a way to make big bets. Bitcoin traders lacked investor protection. Investors lack protection when trading Bitcoin on cryptocurrency exchanges. Securities and Exchange Commission Chairman Gary Gensler told lawmakers. Cryptocurrency insurance could be a big industry. As cryptocurrency markets mature, they attract players from other industries. The insurance industry is one of them. Elon Musk advises caution with cryptos. Elon Musk is putting the brakes on investing in cryptocurrencies. The CEO of electric vehicle maker Tesla and rocket manufacturer SpaceX has periodically promoted the benefits of investing in cryptocurrencies such as Dogecoin in recent months, apparently prompting some investors to take the plunge. But early Friday morning it added a note of caution. In quotes, cryptocurrency is promising, but invest with caution, he wrote on Twitter. All that glitters in cryptos is not gold. According to official statistics, a whopping 67% of eToro traders fail to make money trading on the platform. Similarly, overall, less than 5% of users make a successful living from trading cryptocurrencies, contrary to popular opinion. Technology. Only 14 people control the internet worldwide. The custodians of the keys selected for their cybersecurity expertise meet every 3 months to update passwords from the system that control most data traffic. The Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers held in mid-February the 42nd key signing ceremony, a key event in maintaining the security of the Internet. 14 people who have been selected for their expertise in cybersecurity have been selected to hold the keys that manage the system that control most data traffic. Their task is to update the password of this system so that it doesn't end up in the hands of hackers. These events normally take place 4 times a year, every 3 months. 7 people meet on the east coast of the US and 7 on the west coast to generate and take with them a new master key. It is to say, a new password. The 2 groups meet simultaneously, and only 3 of the 7 custodians of each coast are actually required. Possibility of habitable conditions on Mars. Evidence of recent volcanic activity on Mars shows that eruptions may have occurred within the last 50,000 years, raising the possibility of recent habitable conditions. And that's all for today. I wish you a weekend. Thanks a lot.